The other thing which you could do is to look at feature list, look at which columns have got predominant features, and then just list it according to an ascending order. Okay, so you can see which are the top 5 columns which are hurting, which are causing the most important thing in this. So can people tell me what was their accuracy when you did your print accuracy of something? What was their accuracy? .90 for decision tree, random forest 9.4. Okay, any other number? First and foremost, is everyone's random forest is running? It's running? Not running? Call me, I'll come and fix it. Because now what we will do is we'll start tuning the parameters of random forest. अभी तक हमने ये नहीं किया कि हम कुछ बदलेंगे तो क्या होगा. Okay, so let me have a quick look at these people. We'll only take a minute to fix. Can I? One thing I will advise, just to be on the safe side, if you can go on Colab. Do you have a Google account? That's enough. Do you know how to use the internet? That's enough. मैं इसलिए कर रहा हूँ ना कि अगर आपके पास जो सारे मॉड्यूल्स इंस्टॉल नहीं है तो उसका हमको ड्रॉबैक नहीं झेलेंगे हम. गूगल लॉग्ड इन है आप? तो and just copy and paste. It looks like a Jupyter notebook. जैसे ही लॉगिन हो जाएगा यू स्टार्ट करें. आपका क्या चल रहा है? किसमें? Yes, the value is trying to be set on the copy of the app का error है. Print small भी जाएगा. Okay. Try again. ठीक है, गुड. नेक्स्ट को ट्राई. अच्छा, ड्रॉप इन मत कीजिए अभी, इसलिए ड्रॉप इन मत कीजिए. इस डेटा में देयर आर ऑलवेज अ रो और कॉलम व्हिच हैज नो वैल्यू, सो ड्रॉप इन गोज टू डिलीट एवरीथिंग. ओके, और पास फेल को भी ड्रॉप क्यों करें? उसी में तो हमारा आउटपुट था. ओके, इसीलिए गलत हो रहा है. ठीक है, सो जस्ट डू वन थिंग, कॉपी द होल टेक्स्ट एट वन गो. हाँ, नहीं, द होल थिंग एट वन गो. जहां नहीं करेगा विल सी. व्हाट अबाउट यू गाइस? आपका चल रहा है? हाँ, उसके बाद एरर होगा तो आके देखेंगे. मैं हूं ना. क्या एरर हो रहा है? सो आप भी लोकल होस्ट पर हो ना. सो ये मैं अक्सर देख रहा हूँ, खासकर जो अपने कंप्यूटर पर रन कर रहे हैं, उनका रैंडम फॉरेस्ट इज अनेबल टू रन बिकॉज ऑफ दीज नैन्स. दैट्स व्हाई आई एम एडवाइजिंग पीपल टू गो ऑन कोलैब. Can you go on Colab? What about you? You're copying on Colab. Good. What's happening there, guys? So since people are running on their own computer, are getting NaN errors. Yeah. Got it? Sardar ji? नहीं. आप विशाल हो भाई, पहले लाओ. What about you guys? Got it? क्या एरर है मैं देख सकता हूँ quickly? Start coding with AI. अच्छा, sorry. Is that the first error कि उसके पहले भी कोई error है? हम अक्सर करते हैं इन सब रिजल्ट्स को हम हटा देते हैं because it makes coding looks very difficult to see कहाँ से error हुआ है. So जो print आपने लगाए हैं, print predict. So prediction तो हो ही रहा है आपका. It is predicting something. Is that the last line of your code? एक्यूरेसी, इसने एक्यूरेसी प्रेडिक्ट किया ही. फीचर में आपको डिफिकल्टी हो रही है ना अभी. फीचर लिस्ट एक्स क्या है?
स्मॉल एक्स.
आपका स्मॉल एक्स से नाम दिया आपने? नहीं, देयर इज नो वेरिएबल कॉल्ड एक्स. हमारे पास x का वेरिएबल कहाँ है? हाँ, राइट. Oh, there was an x earlier. नहीं, this is feature importances नहीं. What is there? So x dot columns आपका variable x है. Okay. Feature underscore ये variable है PD series model feature dot importances. Index feature किसमें? Okay. Index. Okay. Y prediction model predict. आपने सही कोड लगाया है. प्रिडिक्ट तो नहीं कहा होगा मैंने. गुड गुड. आपकी एक एक्यूरेसी आ गई. क्या हुआ भाई? नहीं. अच्छा, डेटा अपलोड करना होगा ना ऊपर में. ओके. Because it can't see this file. So all those who worked on Colab, were you able to take the file from your computer, or did you uploaded the file on Colab as well? Upload करें. Can you do that for here? आपका हो गया ना? Can you help him while while we start? So you know that CCAM file, usccom.csv file. You need to just upload it and put it on a disk there. Okay. Good. So what were the parameters we played with in this code earlier? हमने पहला काम ये किया कि we divided the data set into training data set and testing data set. And in this line, we basically said 20% of the data should be testing data. So 80% of the data was used for training, 20% for testing. Let's change that number and see what happens. So I'll leave the freedom to you. Choose any number from 0.01 to 0.5. So half of the days, and then see what happens to accuracy of your random forest. And I'm not giving you a number. I want all of you so that when you are entering by yourself, you'll be entering a different number, right? Just test data is equal to 0.2. It should go from 0.05 to 0.5. Pick a number. Okay? Have you done that? What about you girls? Working? Okay, let's have a look. Which line is there? The strip. Why are you stripping the column, bhai? I didn't ask you to do that. Where? Okay, wait. Go back to code. I will help you. So first thing first, you printed the DF columns. Don't strip them. I think we don't need that line. Don't need both of these lines. So why is not df.time? Why is the one which is telling when the output is? Kis column mein output hai? What is the title of the last column? Pass and fail. So we'll call it pass fail. Right? X is every column except that column. You just write drop this column.
Drop last column.
No, we are saying drop the column जिसका label है pass fail. Okay, and then train करेंगे. Let's see. आप training तक ही आए हो ना अभी तक. You have only got till what happened? Pass fail does not exist in Axis. हमने कहाँ गलती की है? Which line is there? Axis 1 था कि Axis 0 था? Okay. Sorry. Pass. Capital F. That's 2. Right? Let's write the next part of your code. Okay, so have you got a number? Tell us. Which number did you go for and what's the accuracy you got? Oh, okay. No, hold a second. What the test size you took? Huh. You took a test size of 0.7 and you got exactly the same accuracy. ये कुछ बर्दाश्त नहीं हो रहा है. ये तो कुछ. But how is it possible कि पहले you trained with 60% of data and now you are training with 30% of data? Something looks fishy, right? Should I have a look? इसीलिए फर्स्ट रो पर बैठना चाहिए. पता नहीं फर्स्ट रो के साथ क्या दुश्मनी है हर स्कूल में, right? Wait, let's have a look. So 0.4. Something looks. Mm-hmm. 20. Can you look at the size of your X test and X train? X train. Hmm. 934, but still it's too high for. Sure. So if I go for test size of 0.19. Okay, so why don't we do this thing? So अगर assume करते हैं कि ये डेटा आपका सही है. मैंने entered 0.9 even then. Let's plot the accuracy, the pass fail before and the pass fail predicted on the same graph. अगर दोनों exactly सही है तो पूरा straight line matching line मिलना चाहिए हमको, right? Or let's plot the pass fail. नहीं, it's 1 and -1 दो ही चीजें हैं हमारे पास, right? So let's plot them versus an index of 0 to so much and let's see how they look like. तो आप plot कर सकते हैं अभी आप लोग? Because that's a way of, because a huge amount of data set. If it is still matching, then fine. What about you guys? So there's one number. What's happening there? Did you try changing the? Change करने से क्या मिला?
70-30.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Random tree? Random forest? Sorry. Decision tree. Decision. Okay, ठीक है. What about you guys? Did you try changing the? Mm-hmm. And what's your result? मैं बैठ जाऊं? That's what you want me to say? कहना ही चाहते हैं कि मैं बैठा रहूं? ठीक है. What about third row? Have you got your results working? No. So don't smile. Ask me. दूसरी जगह तो हम कहते हैं काम करने के लिए पैसे मिलते हैं मुझे. क्या गड़बड़ हुआ? X test is not defined. Have you called it X test पहले? आपने इसे X trust कहा है यहाँ पर. What's your mistake?
Sir,
Hmm.
this, I need to type इसी का कोड है.
Why predicted? Huh? Should I give you the code?
Same. This.
So pretty much this one.
Only one.
Oh, one line. No, import the metrics variable and then just that will do the job. Okay. Can I? Okay. What does this head mean? You need to tell me. Yes, no. So did you get an accuracy? आपने predict कर दिया है. Now write the accuracy code. That's will measure कि कितना सही है. क्या हो रहा है मैडम? She has taken the ध्यान मुद्रा. अब मुझे कौन सा come on, show me a machine. Okay, तुमने divide किया. Where is the rest of the code? लिखते हैं ना? कहाँ लिखा? Do you have my PowerPoint slides with you? Okay. Hold a second. ये है ना यहाँ पर? यहीं से कॉपी करते हैं ना? कॉपी पेस्ट कैसे भूल गई? दुनिया का सबसे आसान चीज. So extrain. So आपका फंक्शन है उधर में. So copy, paste. That is your classifier. Classifier लगा दिया हमने. उसके पहले हमें लाइब्रेरी लानी थी. सबको एक साथ भी कर सकते हैं, कि करने की जरूरत नहीं है. ओके, तो फिटिंग तो हो गई. हम खाली एक लाइन प्रेडिक्ट करेंगे. और एक और काम करना, खास के इंटरप्रेटेड लैंग्वेज में काम कर रही हो ना जब, there's no need to write the whole thing and wait for and then test. Right? This one, I'm here, I know I'll be able to fix it and then get. नींद आ रही है?
No, I don't use the code. I'm
You-
from BBA.
So
I don't have this in code.
why not so? Everybody should be able to do code, right? Coding में तो कोई अक्कर, no brain goes in coding, right? That's why all of us gets job there, because we're doing df print, df columns, integer, pass fail, sklearn import. Good. What's there now? Y train is not defined. What did we call these variables? We call them small y train, right? So training data is big, small, and now we have changed it to capital. So if we made it small, CDC, क्या कर रहा हूँ मैं? Right? So this is like calling you by a different name in a different part of. Okay, those of you who have done. कितना टाइम हो रहा है? See. So what I will spend, I think all of you have got your random forest working now, right? So what we'll spend next 10 or 15 minutes telling you what we did the study, why it was a bit more and why we are not studying now. And then when we get time, we will go back and see how we can clean. Had all of you guys given a neat and nice data, हम immediately data analysis कर सकते थे. कुछ नहीं तो random forest तो लगा ही सकते थे. But now we will spend time cleaning that data, right? और उसके बाद I will try to backtrack which is that person who is making our life miserable. की सीधा सीधा data डालने को कहा था, इतना कौन डाल दिया? Okay, good. So the problem was the same. What you dealt with was a smaller data set, and we are also looking at the same solution. We were looking, the other thing which you did not look, okay? What was it 93% accurate for? Did it tell 7% of bad wafers were good wafers? Or did it tell 7% of, or good wafers were bad wafers? See the problem? So I have only two types of classification, good wafers and bad wafers. all of you have got an accuracy around 93%, which means there are 7% wrong data somewhere. And because there are only two possible states, which means 7% यहाँ से यहाँ गए होंगे या फिर यहाँ से यहाँ आए होंगे. And there lies our issue now. Because we did accuracy analysis as the broad spectrum. We can do an accuracy analysis just on the ones which are correct. Okay. So what did it tell wrong? Did it tell me that मेरे 7% अच्छे वेफर हैं वो खराब थे and I threw them away? Or did it tell me the other way around? The other way around, fine, the customer will be unhappy at me. 7% of my customers will be unhappy. This way I have lost money 7% right in the beginning. And this is why this 93% number is not a good number. So in the beginning it looks very nice. We have got 93% accuracy of predicting at this very complex database. But if you tell that to a manager of a foundry, यहाँ पर हम accuracy expect कर रहे हैं 95%. कि yield की कि on a chip a good wafer is having a 95% accuracy. और उसके बाद आप कह रहे हैं कि 93% ही हम सही prediction करेंगे. It's not worth risk taking for me. I need better. The other thing which we did in this task was we didn't try to say कि yield कितना है. 60% है, 97% है, 99%. We didn't try to tell the figure. We just said कि कौन अच्छा है, कौन बुरा है. And this is why in the other financial data analysis जो हम करेंगे, we will be looking at male versus female. We are not looking कि आप कितना खर्च करेंगे. That will be the harder question to ask. So this is what we did. We looked at 35,000 wafers over a period of 6 months being produced in this foundry. Okay? And I can keep on telling you that there is always a data collection problem. Unless you see it yourself, you don't appreciate it. And you saw it immediately in our financial data collection. Human beings are bad sensors. Sensors also do the same thing. Some data is not always present. It happened because not all wafers were measured because of cost and time. Right? कुछ miss कर गए थे, कुछ sensor faulty data दे रहे थे, तो you remove these things. But we always have this analysis problem with every data you collect. For number of reasons measurements fail कर गए थे उस टाइम में. ठीक है, we can't say electricity failure था, but sensors failure होता है. 6 महीने में करीब 100,000 sensors सारे तो काम करेंगे नहीं. The other thing is not every machine delivers the same sensor data. Even if it's being used for the same process step, it could give a different sensor data with a different accuracy, different resolution. And there lies the problem. Almost all the algorithms we deal with want nicely prepared data. Some of you who ran random forest on your own laptop computer, it started complaining that random forest cannot deal with NANs. Okay? And the moment I removed the NANs, मेरे पास कोई data ही नहीं बचा, क्योंकि हर column, हर row में कहीं ना कहीं blank space था. So there lies our data analysis problem. So all computer scientists, all those who do business analysis face with this problem. So the data pre-processing is a vital step in all data analysis and all computer related stuff. And it could take, and sometimes even should take 80% of your time. तो हमने जो फाइनेंशियल डेटा कलेक्ट किया उसका कोड लिखने में कितना, हमारा कोड कितना बड़ा है? रैंडम फॉरेस्ट का कितने लाइंस हैं? 15-16 लाइन है मैक्सिमम, इंक्लूडिंग ऑल द इंपोर्ट. सो उसको लिखने में हमें ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लगेगा नए डेटा के लिए भी. बट इट्स द डेटा प्री प्रोसेसिंग विच इज गोइंग टू टेक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम फॉर अस. सो दिस विल सर्टेनली सेव हार्ट एक्स लेटर, क्योंकि एक बार जब आपने ट्रेन कर दिया और फिर से शुरू करना होगा, या फिर उस डेटा प्री प्रोसेसिंग के कारण अगर आपको एरर आ रहा है, देन दैट्स नॉट वर्थ डूइंग ऑल द हार्ड वर्क. नाउ हमारे साथ इशू ये है कि आवर डेटा सेट इज बिग. 35,000 वेफर्स. हमारे कितने वेफर्स थे इस साइड में? 1,500, राइट? नाउ वी हैव इंक्रीज द नंबर टू 35,000 वेफर. सो यू हैव सिग्निफिकेंटली इंक्रीज द डेटा. सो एक ऑप्शन तो ये कर ही सकते हैं कि रिड्यूस द नंबर ऑफ पैरामीटर्स. हमें पता है कि ये वाला टेम्परेचर, डोर का एंट्री टेम्परेचर सेंसर लगा रखा है दरवाजे पर, दैट्स मोस्ट प्रोबब्ली नॉट गोइंग टू अफेक्ट. So I can cut down some of these parameters, or I could cut down the number of wafers. क्यों सब में टेस्ट किया जाए, कुछ ही में किया जाए. But we don't know doing what will lead to a loss of parameters for us, loss of accuracy. तो जब नहीं पता हमें, then we can't do that. So after doing a bit of pre-processing, we were left with 323 parameters for the first process step. We looked at 4 process steps. तो आपके यहाँ करीब 450 या 500 parameters थे ना? So we had 323 per, so multiply that by 4. And then we did a quite lot of work on wrapper feature selection. So you could do things like principal component analysis to figure out what components might be needed. That also takes time. We used an analysis from a software called R, just because Rebecca loves R. It was a Boruta analysis, and we looked at all these parameters to see which one of them are interesting, which one of them don't lead to big change in output. So of all the columns, some columns will lead to a bigger change, some will not, and some we don't know of. The green ones are the ones which are really vital in producing the output. Yellow ones maybe, red ones are less important. So we started removing some of these ones. And to do that, what we were doing, we were iteratively comparing the importance of these attributes and looking at whether this attribute is important or not important. So doing that led to, from 323, we boiled down to 191 columns. Remember, the whole reason we are doing it, we want to reduce the computation time. जितने कम data होगा उतना हम handle कर पाएंगे. So essentially, this is how the whole process flow happened. We did Boruta analysis in the beginning, reduced the number of parameters, and then for each parameter, we undertook, for each process, we undertook the extraction of yield. Okay? Good. So let's talk about the results. So आप लोग 93% पर खुश हो रहे थे. Okay? So our first, so these are our obtained yield versus predicted yield value. In an ideal thing, it should all fall on the middle line, right? जो भी predict किया है, जो obtain किया है, that should be. So we're not looking right now on good or bad. We are now trying to regress. हम बताना चाह रहे हैं कि कितना आया. Now you can see where the yield is poor, my prediction is also poor. Okay, so if this line is telling me anything beyond this, I'm not put numbers here because not allowed to. Anything beyond this line are good. So this may be X number between 90 and 100. Anything beyond this line is a good wafer. Anything below this line is a bad wafer. The other thing which you can see in this data, there's a large number of goody wafers. There's a small number of bad wafers. So my sheer training data was quite small for the bad wafers. So little wonder I'm predicting badly for the bad ones. For the good ones, I've got decent prediction. Right? I'm very close to the central line. Now in one way, it's not a bad thing. क्या चीज बुरी होने ही वाली है तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है 30% बुरी थी या 40% बुरी थी? It's going to be rejected anyway. Okay? So when it comes to the good ones, we are fairly okay in this. So if you look into our accuracy prediction for the good wafer, we were correct to 99.37%. For the bad ones, we were correct to 97.98%, which means there were 2.1% bad wafers, जिनको हमने कहा कि ये अच्छे wafers हैं, and there were 0.6% good wafers, जिनको हमने कहा ये बुरे wafer हैं. Now you might think that's fairly good number. That's still 6 in 1,000. We had 35,000 wafers. हमने 6 को खराब बताया. That's 180 wafer threw down the drain. 180 wafer into 10,000 chips is 180,000 chips, which we said, which are going to be good, and we said they were bad. Okay? But still much better than what is done. Let's be honest. I mean, this is very good result otherwise. The thing which is actually very bad is the R-squared error. So if you absolutely measure, if this was a predicted accurate obtained result, this is what you predicted, how far what was our error? We are very bad in that, even for the good ones. Okay, look, for example, this we think is good, and we said it's good, but obtained yield was here, and the predicted yield was far away from it. So we have quite a lot of R square error. Beware, my actual R square, I have calculated R square for the entire space. Right? Or Rebecca has calculated for entire space, which means there is very high bad error here. So for the bad wafers, my prediction quality is bad, which in turn affects the entire prediction, entire error. अगर error measure करना है कितने erroneous थे from all of them. These bad ones increase my error even further. So maybe we should have done a histogram and then said, ये बुरे हैं, ये भले हैं. So this is from a single process step. It's not from, we haven't done the whole chip. ये पहले step से ही हम इतना बता रहे हैं कितने चीज खराब. If I run all the process steps, I can do 99.4% of the good ones and 98.8% of the bad ones, and my R square has also improved. But this meant I had 193 samples of data. Now I have roughly 800 columns of data, right? So, and we waited till the whole fabrication finishes before I'm able to predict. So that was the first part. But one idea is to say what's going bad. The other is, if I can now tell which parameter to improve my yield. And that was very tricky. We could try to do other ways. We could try to say, can you tell us the optimal process parameters which will make all the yield better? But then this number of process parameters is so huge that optimality is a very difficult problem to reach. Not just 1 point optimization, it's 800 point optimization. Okay. What we asked the question was in a different way. Let's not try to make कि which parameter, कौन सा parameter yield को बढ़िया बनाएगा. Let's ask the other question. Which parameter will make the yield go bad? Okay? तो अगर हम ये जान सकें कि ये करने से हमारा ये चीज खराब होने वाला, तो let's try to avoid that. We ask the negative questions. Question तो अच्छा पूछा था, जवाब नहीं आया. There is no single optimal value at which the yield became maximum, but if I plot, if my red line is the yield line, what we could say is there are some parameters which are here will never lead something to become good yield. So anything above red line is the good yield, anything below the red line is not so good yield. So ये parameter space जो यहाँ पढ़ रहे हैं, ये कभी असर नहीं करेंगे. They are never able to move my yield from bad to good yield. Make sense? So these were the kind of predictions we could do. Now, आप लोगों के पास भी उतना ही data है, and we were very happy with good or bad. But then comes the next question. ठीक है, हमने ये तो predict कर. How will we improve our process? Okay. Good. I will stop now because we have gone through. Today we went through what process is, what yield is. We then went and did random forest analysis. और उसके बाद we then went and looked at from a research result what happened. अगर आपके पास time है और आप interested हैं, I will go and look at this data now. On the same sugar folder, I've also provided you some more databases. So an interesting database is, so this I have taken from, I think, Kaggle. This is looking at soil quality, fertilizer amount, and yield per kg per hectare square meter. So it has got only 5 columns and is trying to predict what happens to the agricultural yield. This will be a regression analysis. So you can, rather than using random forest classifier, you can use a random forest regressor. Or if you're even more interested, this one is a very interesting database which I have taken from, it's a web-based database which is looking at a number of properties. So things like soil color, what is the ingredient in soil, phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen, all the way till, cloud cover and others. And then it is trying to give an advisory note कि कौन सी फसल लगानी चाहिए. So it goes from barley, it's a large database, to maize, to teff. Teff is a grain produced in the Ethiopia region. It produces a very nice bread called injera. And to wheat and rice. Okay, so it has looked at 4 or 5 different grains. Now, till now we were looking at single object classifier. Do hi bins hain, good or bad. Now the question then comes, what if I have multiple bins? How do I classify this thing into multiple bins and those things? And also the database here is a little bit, you have got, so 2 things you have to do while dealing with this. So most of this data is nice. It has got numbers. But my prediction does not have numbers. So the quickest way would be to do that. Okay, there are only 5 different types of bins, right? So उन सबको हम एक नंबर दे दें. Wheat को 1 कर दिया, barley को 2 कर दिया, maize को 3 कर दिया. So now I have got groups of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I also have the problem in the kind of soil. So this has got roughly, what's the total length of this data? Roughly 4,000 rows. And then you can dig in these 4,000 rows how many different type of unique values are there. Then go and replace each one of these unique values by numbers. So you'll have these numbers, you will have the data set, and then hopefully you can do a classification just based on 5, and you can also do a prediction based on 5. Now prediction के लिए आसान problem है क्योंकि हम 99.99, 97.23 और 60.12 predict नहीं कर रहे हैं. हम predict करने जा रहे हैं 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one of these 5 values. So it's a much nicer task than a more complex task. So अगर आपके पास समय है तो these are things which you can try with and do the same thing. The code will remain exactly the same. Okay? Take a certain part of your data set to be the training data set, another part of testing data set. It's just you are working with a different type of data set. The other things are parameter tuning. एक parameter हमने tune किया which was the percentage of data set which we are going to use in training and testing. किस तरह से हम divide करेंगे? If you now go back and look at the properties of a random forest classifier, say, you will see what other various option it gives you. And it gives you number of estimators. So this basically says how many, what's the number of estimators we took in our code? Did we give a number of estimators? 10. So 10 से 93% आया था, right? Let's make it 100 and see what happens. And give your test code only to 0.2. So 20% of data are testing. Let's increase the number of estimators to 100. Take it. कुछ फायदा हुआ? रन कर रहा है? What about you guys? It's taking time. नहीं हो रहा है? So increase the number of estimators and हमारी accuracy prediction थोड़ी improve की. So we can have that. We can go for what's the maximum depth. We can reduce the maximum depth. Right now it's infinity तक जा सकता है each tree. So you can look at these parameters और इन सबको modify कर सकते हो. Sky is the limit here. So इसको नहीं cover करेंगे आज. Good. So we're stopping today I'm stopping from now. I'm here to go and help you guys with this thing. Let's do the analysis of our financial data. Let's also tell you what we will do tomorrow. Should I tell you or should I do it more fun? So मुझे आज बताया गया कि this is presumably a course for you guys. You get credits for it. कितने credits मिलते हैं आपको इससे? अच्छा, that's a political answer. मुझे अभी नहीं पता है. We might have to do a simple quiz tomorrow. परीक्षा लेना पड़ेगा ना कोर्स के बाद. एग्जाम होना चाहिए, नंबर मिलने चाहिए. बट माई एग्जाम्स हैपन इन सच ए फैशन कि आपको जो भी इंटरनेट देखना है, जो भी सर्च करना है, आप कर सकते हो. ओके, सो वी विल यूज द लास्ट आवर फॉर यू टू solve a problem. I don't care how you solve a problem. A simple problem which you can solve based on जो हमने आज किया है. कल हम लोग एक completely different aspect of business के बारे में बात करेंगे. So let's go through. हम लोग start किए थे finance से, right? But we looked at very simple financial data. Then we looked yesterday on किस पर देखे थे हम लोग? Marketing पर, right? तो हम लोग मार्केटिंग देख रहे थे, रैंडम मैट्रिक्स फैक्टराइजेशन कर रहे थे. सो कल हमने टाइम स्पेंड किया था प्रोग्रामिंग करते हुए. आज हमने बीच का टाइम स्पेंड किया. वी स्पेंड अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम लुकिंग एट व्हाई समथिंग गोज रॉन्ग, और थोड़ा समय हमने बिताया रैंडम फॉरेस्ट के प्रोग्राम करके उसको प्रेडिक्ट करने के लिए. कल हम लोग उल्टा करेंगे. वी विल लुक एट प्योरली बिजनेस डेटा. वी विल लुक एट समथिंग व्हिच हैपेंस ऑन remember, I keep on saying the liquidity problem. We'll introduce the problem today and then we'll go back to the financial analysis. So the problem lies is this. I do not know how much money I should keep. So आप already एक analysis कर ही रहे होगे अपने data के साथ, और वो हम लोग अभी कर ही देंगे उस financial analysis के साथ. Banks don't know how much data should keep, but this is a very old problem, particularly for banks. जब banks के पास पैसा नहीं होता है, क्या होता है? You guys are doing business studies, right? And only you, so you should know the answer to this question. So if a bank runs out of money, I mean, on an average, what does it mean bank has run out of money? Well done, they don't have liquidity. We are going to actually program for liquidity tomorrow. What does it mean? Tell us to all of us. हम लोगों को तो liquidity नहीं पता है. Okay. So liquid cash, which means it can move. It's not tied. Okay. So what do banks do? They rotate money, right? Let's go to retail. Investment पर जाएंगे थोड़ी देर के बाद. छोटे बैंक्स, right? आप जिसमें पैसे इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो, तो वो पैसा कैसे बनाते हैं? आपने तो उनको पैसे दिए, वो आपको इंटरेस्ट देते हैं. उनको पैसा कहाँ से मिलता है? हाँ, शेयर परचेज. व्हाट एल्स? सो हम डिपॉजिट करते हैं तो वो हमको इंटरेस्ट देते हैं, right? They're giving us interest. How do they make money to give us interest? So they circulate in the economy. Yeah. So they give it to somebody else as a loan or as an investment, right? The problem with loan is that you have given a loan to somebody for, say, house building or starting a factory. That person starts or a mortgage. So that person starts giving you mortgage return every month. Agreed? So bank knows for अगले 10 साल तक I will be getting this money. But the depositor can ask the money any day. So depositor can go to the bank and say कि भैया मेरा पैसा मुझे वापस करो, right? Now she talked about this. RBI has this number, right? कि आपको इतने % cash रखना चाहिए. But that's just a number learned from experience, right? You're not. But that is again, you are hoping that this percentage of depositors can come back to me. Unless you have got all your deposit in fixed deposits, aka these will not mature before so long period and you cannot take it back, whatever happens. But even most fixed deposits in India allow you to take money out by suffering a loss, right? So ऑल ऑफ अ सडन होपफुली सारे कस्टमर्स मेरे आ गए. आई हैव टेकन 30% ऑफ माई डिपॉजिट एज माई कैश, मैंने रखा है, बट 40% ऑफ माई कस्टमर्स आ गए अपना पैसा वापस मांगने के लिए. द बैंक नीड्स टू टेक लोन फ्रॉम समबडी एल्स, और कोई हमको लोन नहीं देगा तो, क्योंकि हो सकता है दूसरे बैंक हम पर विश्वास करें कि अरे भैया ये तो बैंक डूबने वाली है, इसको लोन मत दो. So has there been a bank collapse in India? So RBI helps in two ways. Either it can lend money or it can ask another bank. So has there been a bank collapse in India ever? Or do you know of any? Sorry? Union Bank was running sick for some time, but it was a government bank. So Sarkari bank collapse, Sarkar's collapse nahi karne deti. That's one advantage of this. We'll give you bad service, but as long as the government of India survives, they are the, yes.
So Yes Bank was there.
Yes Bank was there. What happened to Yes Bank?
So it was the sponsor of IPL, somewhere I read.
वो इंडियन क्रिकेट टीम के साथ जो भी कंपनी जुड़ती है ना, उसका बंटादार हो जाता है.
So at some point in time, Deccan Charge is team over it. And only the sponsors to backing partners. Inka bhi like jo tha fund, they were out of money. Right? They are out of money, and they even paid players for like the amount of the players. So you can pay something which are.
वैसे डेक्कन चार्जेस की कोचिन टस्कर्स का चल रहा है ना, कि डेक्कन चार्जेस का भी चल रहा है. ओके.
It's still like the same problem.
Okay. But you're not talking about this, I'm talking about financial institutions. So ये भी एक similar problem है कि आपके जो lenders हैं वो all of a sudden आपसे पैसा मांग रहे हैं, और आपने अपना पैसा कहीं इन्वेस्ट कर रखा है, आपको पैसा नहीं आने वाला है, हम कैसे सेटिस्फाई करेंगे? सो सेटिस्फैक्शन का ऑपरेशन है कि मैं हायर रोड पर लोन ले हम. सो 2 साल पहले यही चीज यूएस में हुआ था. इफ यू न्यू 4 banks collapsed within a span of few days. Did you remember? Signature Bank. ये खासकर कंप्यूटर साइंस वालों को आना चाहिए. There is something called cryptocurrency. उसके चक्कर में 2 बैंक लुट गए. Right? They invested heavily in cryptocurrency because banks also invest somewhere. एक बैंक ट्रेजरी बॉन्ड्स के हाईलाइट में गया. So इंडिया में पहला कोलैप्स interestingly happened even before formal banking structure was there. And I'm sure collapse, see, कोई भी collapse तो पहले हमेशा हुए जब से लोग अपना पैसा कहीं रखने जा रहे हैं. And as long as it's not the government, it's the private sector, there is a possibility of collapse. Every investment is risky. तो क्या हुआ था कि यूएस में वॉर चल रहा था, यूएस यूके का, राइट? यूके को कॉटन चाहिए. पहले कॉटन आता था यूएस से, तो वॉर के कारण कॉटन नहीं आ रहा है, तो उन्होंने रियलाइज किया कि भैया महाराष्ट्र में कॉटन पैदा हो सकता है. सो ऑल ऑफ अ सडन द कॉटन हियर बिकेम वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. A lot of people started investing in cotton. Like businesses, man, business houses, groups start के भी हम cotton में invest करें. अब invest करने के लिए हमको पैसा चाहिए. पैसा आप किससे लेते हो? बैंक से. So a number of new banks also evolved who were giving loan for cotton investors because everyone thought, yeah, cotton is such a good market, it's giving such a high return, right? And then the war in US stopped, and cotton started coming from US. Cotton collapsed, led to the collapse of first big bank from East India Company in India. Right? That collapsed bank की जगह एक और बैंक established किया गया. That later became the State Bank of India. Something similar happened 2 years ago. The Punjab National Bank crisis. Had Punjab National Bank been a private bank and had government said, you know what, you're running a loss, your problem. So they would have declared bankruptcy. So look a bit on bank runs. Actually, एक और interesting stories में जो आपको, so Scotland में 2 major banks हैं, well 3 banks हैं, Bank of Scotland, Royal Bank of Scotland और Clydesdale Bank. Okay, it's a very interesting financial infrastructure there. So India में नोट कौन छापता है? Who mints the coins? The government. That's a very good. So RBI only prints notes, right? What do the notes say? Have you read what does the note say? Do you have a note with you? कि आजकल नोट लेके नहीं चलते, अब सब डेबिट कार्ड पर है. तो रीड व्हाट डज द नोट से. एक सिग्नेचर होता है रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया गवर्नर का, उसके पहले एक स्टेटमेंट है. व्हाट डज द नोट से? हाँ, हिंदी में भी लिखा, अंग्रेजी में भी लिखा होगा. हिंदी में पढ़िए. हाँ, ये कौन? नहीं, इंग्लिश पढ़ो. इट्स ए प्रॉमिस. इट्स ए प्रॉमिसरी नोट. हाँ, क्या हिंदी में क्या है? का वचन देता हूं. राइट, कम से कम वचन इज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट देन प्रॉमिस. नाउ गवर्नमेंट ब्रोक दिस प्रॉमिस रिसेंटली, राइट? 2000 रुपए के नोट के साथ प्रॉमिस ब्रेक किया था ना. एंड दिस इज व्हाई वी कांट डिफीट द गवर्नमेंट इन कोर्ट, बिकॉज इट वाज ए प्रॉमिस, इट वाज नॉट ए लॉ. हमने आपको प्रॉमिसरी नोट दिया था, नहीं मिस कर रहे हैं, जाइए, अब क्या कर सकते हो आपको. सो इंडिया में नोट छापने की कैपेबिलिटी सिर्फ रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया को दी गई है. ओके, बट इज देयर एनी रीजन टू डू दैट? क्यों दिया गया? कोई और भी तो छाप सकता है. लोग अपना प्राइवेट नोट भी चलाते हैं. आपने कभी प्राइवेट नोट नहीं देखा है? तो जब किराने की दुकान से व्हेन यू बाय थिंग्स और समथिंग मिस हो जाता है तो एक छोटे पेपर पे लिख के दे देता है कि सर 200 रुपया बचा है, अगली बार यूज कर लीजिएगा. इज दैट नॉट ए प्रॉमिसरी नोट? द वर्ड नोट कम्स फ्रॉम दिस कॉन्सेप्ट कि हमने हाथ पर लिख के एक नोट दिया आपको कि इस नोट से ये कीजिए. दैट्स हाउ द नोट, बैंकिंग करेंसी स्टार्टेड विद द नोट. ओके, सो वो भी एक तरह से नोट हुआ. Agreed? So the question was, why does Reserve Bank? So in India we only have one bank which issues the note, and that's the legal tender. In England we have Bank of England. In Scotland there is no single bank, even though Scotland is part of UK. Historically, financially वो अपना खुद चलाते थे. So वहाँ पर हर बैंक अपना नोट छापता है, and that becomes interesting, isn't it? तो 3 मेजर बैंक्स हैं और तीनों अपना अपना नोट छापते हैं. Scotland is a very small bank area, right? So the interesting part is this. You will have, if I can say Scottish notes. So you see, you will have different note series, different. So there will be a note of Royal Bank of Scotland. There will be a note, let's see, RBS, POS. Why can't I get all the pictures at one go? These are all the Royal Bank of Scotland notes. So you know what? Source of every knowledge. And the Clydesdale Bank notes. So this is the Bank of Scotland £5 note. Okay? And in the same country, we have a Royal Bank of Bank of Scotland. This is a Royal Bank of Scotland. Same country, we have a Royal Bank of Scotland note. Okay, so these are exactly the same value note in the economy, and then there's a Clydesdale Bank note. Okay, to make things interesting. वो थोड़ा छोटा है, बट वो अपना नोट खुद डिजाइन करते हैं वो भी. तो आप जब एडिनबरा या ग्लासगो जाइए तो फॉर यू कैन बी रिटर्न एनी वन ऑफ दीज 3 नोट्स अगर आपको £5 चाहिए. ओके, आई थिंक डॉक्टर मुखर्जी इज हियर. वी विल स्टॉप नाउ. So इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी इसलिए है इज नॉट व्हाट इज द करंट स्टेटस, व्हाट इज द हिस्ट्री. सो रॉयल बैंक ऑफ स्कॉटलैंड पुराना था और बैंक ऑफ स्कॉटलैंड जब खुला तो उसने अपने नोट छापने शुरू किए. तो इनको चाहता है कि हम उस बैंक को बैंकरप्ट करें. तो ये क्या कर रहे थे कि मार्केट में जाके उनके सारे नोट्स खरीद ले रहे थे. राइट, आपके पास बैंक ऑफ स्कॉटलैंड का वो मुझे दे दीजिए, मैं आपको आरबीएस दूंगा, ताकि मार्केट से उनके नोट ही गायब हो जाए. और फिर उनका प्लान था कि एक दिन सारे नोट्स ले जाके बैंक ऑफ स्कॉटलैंड को एक ही दिन में देंगे कि भैया हमें इक्विवेलेंट वैल्यू दो. एंड दैट्स द वे बैंक विल गो बैंकरप्ट, राइट. इट कांट मीट ऑल इट्स प्रिंटेड नोट्स के पास. अगर सब लोग आरबीआई के पास एक ही दिन चले जाएं कि हमें इस नोट का इक्विवेलेंट वैल्यू दो, विच एवर यू करेंसी में हो, आरबीआई कांट गिव दैट. सो दैट्स कॉल्ड ए बैंक रन. कल हम लोग बैंक रन से शुरू करेंगे एंड देन वी विल गो टू कॉर्पोरेट लिक्विडिटी. हाउ कैन वी प्रिडिक्ट दैट बेस्ड ऑन सम सॉर्ट ऑफ न्यूरल नेटवर्क एस्टिमेटर. सॉरी, बिना मतलब के 15 मिनट हम कल के लेक्चर के बारे में बात करें. सच ए इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी ऑफ बैंक्स एंड दिस थिंग. ओके, फाइनेंशियल डेटा करना है कि आप लोग थक गए हैं? इस डेटा सीरीज का क्या किया जाए? इतनी मेहनत से डेटा कलेक्ट किए और 2 लोग हमारा डेटा डिस्ट्रॉय कर रहे हैं. So, generally what we will do is if we have a financial data like this, we will try to write a code to go around and manually and change these things. But because हमारा data series छोटा है, and to be very frank, there's only one data element, which is guru, हम सबको चेला बना रहे थे, which is a bit problematic. बाकी सारे we figured out this number is not 1000, is 12,000. Okay, so we have this number somewhere else. So one option could be कि भैया मैन्युअली एडिट कर देते हैं इसको. ये तो कर ही सकते हैं, एक ही डेटा सेट, एक डेटा सेट के लिए क्या कोड लिखें. तो there's just one or two, either मैन्युअली एडिट करें or we remove this data set. So that's one thing. Some of them have given us 2023 data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 people have given us 23 data as well. So now that makes a strong case to use 2 years data. And random forest जैसा हमने apply किया online can look at not available data as well. At least the Google's implementation can, okay. Then comes these things. We need to give numbers to these. Okay. तो I'm sure we can come up with a number for in hostel के लिए 1 लगाए, इसके लिए 2 लगाए, and so on so forth. And same with these, we can come up with a weighted number here. So every week के लिए once कर दें, 2, 3 times. Often frequent. Spider-Man. Well, जरूरत पड़ती है Spider-Man को यार. So. And then there is. So the funny thing is this: if you look at this data and cross correlate the gender with how frequently do you eat outside, we have got 5 times man, often frequent man. Girls are every week, 2, 3 times a week, 3, 4 to 4 times men, 5 female. Actually, there is no considerable statistics. They both pretty much eat the same, except there are कुछ जो घर का खाना ही पसंद नहीं करते. So you have all this data with you. So I've shared the entire database, right? तो आप खुद से इसको देखिए. See if you can just edit this one person, one problematic person. और उसके बाद पता लगाइए who the hell is this guru और उसकी पिटाई करेंगे रात को. You know. ये तो सारा मेरा इनक्रेमेंट का यही खत्म कर दिया. If you know, you keep it secret. I promise no such financial information will come out, and this will not come out. Okay? And then let's see अगर हम लोग random. So अब हमारा क्या होगा? Which will be my output column? Which column is my output column? It's no more the last column. अभी तक जो data analysis कर रहे थे, last column was my y. अब मेरा y को क्या होगा? So my your gender column will become my आउटपुट एंड सो अब हम जब रिमूव करेंगे तो इस योर जेंडर को हटाएंगे. द अदर थिंग, रिमेंबर इट ऑल्सो हैज गॉट टाइम स्टैम्प. So when you read this data as a CSV file, do not forget to put date parts dates to be true. Name को भी हटा दो, name से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. I don't think we can figure out from Spider-Man कितना खर्च करते होंगे, right? It's very difficult. Okay? और okay, this was my spelling, right? Parents की जगह parents बना दिया मैंने. The majority of them live in hostel. That would be interesting to see, just as a manual analysis. Do those who live with their parents spend less? Hostel का खर्चा नहीं देना है, right? So how do we then? So we know other people are doing hostel खर्चा और गुरु भाई सबका अलग अलग लिखे हैं, right? Family visits और vacations, हर महीने में उन्होंने कुछ और किया, फिर मोबाइल भी रिपेयरिंग करवाई. भैया सबका खर्चा एक साथ डालना था. So what do we do? Sure. What do we do for such data where we have got a small group of people who live with their parents and hence don't have the accommodation expenditure? Do we treat them as it is with all other people who have got their accommodation expenditure? Or do we boost their data with an average value of accommodation to bring it in line with us? Both options should work. So you can find what's the average cost of accommodation for everyone else. Okay. So I'm not going to intervene in this. This में और sugar analysis में बिल्कुल intervene नहीं करूँगा. You wanted the data, you have the data. If you can't do anything, then tomorrow evening I will write my own code. But अभी आप जाके edit कीजिए. Now this is a comma separated file. Sorry, the expenditure data. So how will we read the expenditure data? So दो तरह के solution हम कर सकते हैं. So if I save this file as a CSV file, so everything else will be comma separated और ये automatically comma separated है. And when I read it back, it will automatically come in 12 columns. There's a reason I asked all of you guys to enter in comma separated. Okay? प्रॉब्लम वो उनकी होती है जो ऑलरेडी इस अपने डेटा को 12,000 के बाद 12 के बाद भी कॉमा लगाया उन्होंने. सो अब कम अप विथ ए स्ट्रैटेजी, हाउ डू आई रीड दैट डेटा so that I don't do a mistake there. So what can I do to read this data such that I do get ideally, I should process it before I convert it to a CSV file, right? So there can be many strategies to do this. Oh boy. One thing we could do, we could parse the data, and wherever we see 3 zeros together, we delete the comma before that. Manual parsing करके कर सकते. We could write a code which just looks for, or we could enter the entire thing in a string. It's not a very long data. Look for 3 zeros. Wherever 3 zeros exist, remove the comma before that. Okay, that is one solution. The other solution is, sorry, you could. The other solution, oh my apologies, could be to, so it is the Excel translation which is causing concern here. I can actually get the raw data and put it there. Now let me just check with the raw data if anyone has put a decimal digit, because that will be more tricky. So हुआ क्या है ना कि जब हम Excel में ट्रांसफर किए इस इंफॉर्मेशन को, so Excel has thought this is a number. Okay, so now I have, say, one of the last person, the number is 12800, 22200, 1700. So Excel has just thought it's a huge number. Those who have not given a space, it has just combined them to be a big number. Okay? So all these problems exist. You have the raw data with you, and I don't think anyone has put any... Oh no, okay, fine. There's perfectly fine data for you to play with. There's only one person who has given answer to the closest 15 paise. 5,935 रुपए 15 पैसे. That girl is going to join a bank. I can see if... Is it a boy or a girl? First, sorry, I have to check that first. ये आ रहा है just before Guru. Who is just before Guru? Just after Guru. Sarah. So she has got this really good accounting system. Good. So data आपके पास है. This is much smaller data than the sugar data. We have got enough data to play with. Come up with something nice and then let's come on, see if you can predict men and women, or if you can do data series analysis. And you know what? मुझे परीक्षा लेने को कहा गया आप लोग का. Let's do this as the exam. You are free to do whatever you want. Okay? उसी पर grading करेंगे. Good. I will stop now.